What's going on, you guys? My name is Zach Hartley, and today in this video, we are going to bring back to the channel Sue Ennis from Hut8 Mining to talk about her company, their strategy for the year ahead, and what's happening with the price of Bitcoin. Here's everything you need to know. Let's go. Okay, so Hut8 Mining, if you're not familiar, they trade in Canada and the US, both under the ticker symbol HUT. The company is headquartered in Toronto, and the price is $9.90 Canadian as I film this video. That gives them a market cap of roughly $1.65 billion Canadian. Here's what the logo looks like underneath, and their website is hut8mining.com. Now, Sue Ennis, she has been on the channel before. She is the current Vice President of Corporate Development at Hut8. She was the former Senior Vice President of Global Partnerships at Shift Network, and she was a Vice President of Corporate Development at Voyager, so she has a whole lot of experience. And the topics that we're going to cover today include the business strategy at Hut8 Mining. We're going to talk about some of their recent acquisitions. We're going to talk about their GPU mining strategy. We're also going to dive into their current Bitcoin production, the roadmap over the next kind of 6 to 12 months, and what is affecting the price of Bitcoin. So if you get any value out of this video, please remember to click that like and subscribe button, and let's jump right in. All right, Sue, thank you so much for coming back on my channel. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
Good. So excited to be back here on your channel and to hear about you mining yourself in your basement and in your garage. Super awesome.
Yes, it's been a little while since we chatted last time. I will link our first interview down below. And since then, I've become a little bit more educated. I've got a couple of miners of my own, and I've even toured your Medicine Hat facility. So I feel like I've got some more in-depth questions that I want to ask today. But before we get into that, I know that you guys have been doing a lot of different things behind the scenes. So can you give us a refresher, or for anybody that's new here, what is the business model at Hut8? What do you guys do? How do you describe it? And how do you make money in the long run?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hut8, we're one of the oldest and largest digital asset miners in the industry. Why we focus on the fact that we're one of the oldest is because we've been through obviously the incredibly profitable bull market cycles, but also have actually weathered the bear market cycles. And so with that in mind, we really take a balance sheet first approach and a diversification of the business strategy in terms of everything that we do, so that no matter what direction Bitcoin's taking, we're capturing upside, regardless of what the price of Bitcoin is doing. So based in Alberta and Ontario, freezing cold climates, super dry, super windy, which is optimal mining conditions, terrible living conditions, but optimal mining conditions, which is great. And we've got a total of 109 megawatts in production right now. An extra 35 is going to be stood up by the end of this quarter. And then we have a total of an extra 100 coming online, hopefully this year. But most excitingly, we have one of the highest inventories of self-mined Bitcoin of any publicly traded company. So last we reported, we have 5,826 Bitcoin on our balance sheet. We're OG hodlers. But most excitingly, we recently bought 5 data centers from a publicly traded company called TerraGo. So they're across Canada from BC to Ontario. We're really excited about what this means from a diversification perspective, but also in terms of what we're planning on building that capitalizes on not only Bitcoin, mining, blockchain, but also some of the nascent applications that are being built in the blockchain space. And this is a major differentiator from basically any other company in mining, because we'll get into it.
Yeah, so let's stay on that topic since you brought it up, because I got a lot of questions around this. And when I first saw the news release, it caught me off guard a little bit, because when I thought of Hut8, I thought of a pure play Bitcoin miner.
Yeah.
Now it feels like there's almost a little bit of a pivot there. And like you said, it sounds like it's for diversification reasons. So can you talk to us a little bit about how this data center fits into your strategy and why you diversified with a data center as opposed to, let's say, holding a different cryptocurrency or doing any other type of business transaction?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a step back. We're OG Bitcoin core hodlers, miners. We believe in Bitcoin. We believe in the technology. We believe in the philosophy behind Bitcoin and decentralized systems, or the decentralized narrative with Bitcoin, the security narrative. We believe in that. But we also don't think that if you believe in Bitcoin and if you believe in the disruption of this new technology in terms of how many different paradigms it's going to shape, we don't think it just stops at mine and hold Bitcoin. because what next? Like what do you do once you have all the HODL? Like what's the plan? And we think that building in this space, because it's maturing, because there's such an insane amount of adoption from an institutional perspective, from an e-commerce perspective that's happening in the blockchain gaming sphere as well, in particular in gaming and Web3, we think that it makes the most sense to not only diversify our business getting into this, but also help our investors and our shareholders capture greater upside in some of the businesses and applications that are gaining more maturity and adoption in this space. We don't think this industry just stops at hot mine and hold Bitcoin. We're about building the infrastructure to support all these new applications that are coming up around this technology.
Gotcha. Okay. So that makes sense. Diving into that data center that you acquired, I read the press release. It sounded like you acquired them for about $30 million. Can you tell us, what does that business look like? Can you share any of the forecasted revenue with us? What did you guys acquire and what did you get for that 30 million?
Yeah, absolutely. So for 30 million bucks, we got a little over 400 commercial enterprise grade customers. So completely uncorrelated to the digital asset mining space, but still customers that capitalize on the digitalization of the economy trend. About 10% of them are in the gaming, media, and special effects space. So we can certainly get into what we're seeing in the gaming and blockchain industries intersecting. And we already have some customers that are in that space, which we're really excited about. So 5 data centers, 400 plus commercial customers. As per the PwC assessment on the business, we got the data center carve out of the publicly traded company TerraGo, and in Q3 they earned about 4.9 million in revenue. We got it for a little over 4x EBITDA, and we paid 30 million cash. And another thing that's really unique about Hut 8 is
you got a data center for 4x the EBITDA.
About between 4 to 6 EBITDA.
That seems amazing. That seems phenomenal.
So this is why it matters who your CEO is and what their experience is. So Jamie Leverton, who took the helm of Hut 8 in December 2020, she has spent the past 20 years in the distressed data center and infrastructure management space. So basically turning around distressed data assets for IBM, for BlackBerry, for Cogeco. So she brings an operator lens to, on top of our balance sheet first approach, but she brings an operator lens to a lot of these decisions that we make here at Hut 8 Mining. And she actually knew about these assets before we even acquired them. She, in her previous role, she knew about these assets. And the reason why we got them for such a good discount is, number one, Jamie's an operator and an incredible deal maker. But number two, the company had decided that they were only going to focus on their 5G business. And they basically had completely neglected this one very profitable or very robust side of their business. They weren't focusing on high margin products. Apparently their customer service just wasn't up to snuff. And so we got it at a tremendous discount. But what I think what's most exciting about this, talking about sort of what I was referring to earlier in terms of the opportunity we see. So about 40% of traditional data centers of the traditional data center space, on average, about 40% of data centers have white space. So that's either unused cloud and co-location that a customer has just left and isn't using it anymore, or they're waiting for a customer to come in. So our future plan, like where we're going with this strategy, is fill that white space with GPU miners, fill that white space with services and infrastructure services for things like blockchain storage, NFT storage, video game and special effects rendering, pool node management. Basically build out what kind of looks like a traditional data center, but with an Amazon web, like an AWS, but for Web 3.0 in the other half of it, or in the underutilized capacity. So that's what, and if you look at what's happening in the gaming industry, so the gaming industry in and of itself is about like a $268 billion opportunity, okay? 70% of developers in the gaming industry have indicated, and this will be in our investor deck, or I think it actually is already posted on our investor deck, 70% of developers have indicated that they're either going to be using decentralized systems, NFTs, tokenized assets for a lot of their in-game development moving forward. I believe in Q3 of 2021, blockchain gaming alone took in something like $2.2 billion. And so again, we're hardcore infrastructure providers, we're OG Bitcoin miners, but we're also infrastructure operators. And we see such tremendous opportunity in these ancillary businesses being built on top of the blockchain. And so why not capture that upside, that additional upside for our shareholders? Because it's not just about mine and HODL. Like I said, we want to grow. We're taking a long-term view for this industry.
No, and that makes sense. And it feels like that diversified approach is definitely something that a lot of investors are going to be interested in. Now, as an investor looking at Hut 8, how should we evaluate the company? Because it's tough to now compare Hut 8 to, let's say, a pure play Bitcoin miner, but you're also not a pure play data center. So if somebody was going to say, hey, I need to put a valuation on the company, what type of methodology should I use here? How would you answer that question?
I mean, you could look at us as, it's tough to say. I mean, it's not the exact same model at all, but it's a similar idea that MicroStrategy is employing. Like, they do have a technology side of their business. I believe it's in security, but then they also have the Bitcoin treasury management strategy. Microsoft just bought Activision. So I'm not really giving you good guidance here on how to value this recent acquisition. We'll certainly have more financials and details for you as, earnings releases come out, but yeah, I don't know if I have a good answer for you on that, but those are some of the partnerships that we're seeing, or strategies that we're seeing that we think are sort of akin to how we're thinking.
No, that's fair. And it sounds like both of those examples have worked out so far. So that's, I'd say that's a fair comparison.
Just really quickly, like, if Bill Gates had stopped at the personal computer, Microsoft wouldn't be where it is today. Right. And that's how we're looking at this business. Anyhow, sorry.
No, that makes sense. I see where you're coming from there. You mentioned GPU miners in the last answer that you gave. Now, I built a GPU miner in my basement, and I kept thinking about the long-term plans, and I was a little bit worried about the kind of Ethereum switch that's rumored to happen at some point this year. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your strategy is for that, how it might affect you guys? Is it in consideration for new equipment moving forward? Can you talk about your GPU strategy there?
Yeah. So back to, the significance of having a CEO who's been in the traditional high performance compute space for 20 years. The NVIDIA GPU miners that we acquired back in the spring were a limited fleet. I think you and I talked about this. We were only one of 3 customers globally who got our hands on this fleet. Mm-hmm. And that's because of our tremendous relationships with providers like NVIDIA. So my point saying this is that those GPU miners are effectively like the Ferrari of GPUs. So they're incredibly efficient. And let's just say Ethereum were to move to proof of stake tomorrow morning. This is also due to our partnership with Luxor Pool. We could easily just pivot within 10 minutes and start mining the next most profitable GPU-based coin. So for example, like an Ethereum Classic, which actually was up 8% last week. I don't know why. I don't follow that chain, but point is, we're able to pivot and be quite agile with this equipment, which we really like. Mm-hmm. So that's our strategy. And then, we certainly are looking at maybe there is a case for Ethereum HODL at some point. I mean, some of the things we're hearing on the ground is that proof of stake was obviously pushed out again until May 2022, but we're hearing from some of our contacts on the ground closer to the project that it might be closer to the end of this year. So we're reevaluating it almost on a daily basis, but our ability to pivot and then continue the strategy with another chain is very easy.
Gotcha. And can you tell us a little bit about, are there any plans for new equipment coming in over the next, let's call it 6 to 12 months, 18 months?
So I obviously cannot say anything we haven't publicly released, but certainly growth is on our radar for sure. And diversification. So this isn't just we're going all in on data centers. We're still 100% going to be a diversified player. And like I said, Bitcoin mining is going to be core of our business. Like, we're core miners at heart.
Yeah. Like you said, your balance sheet actually looked great at the last quarter. It was $223 million in cash, I believe.
Yeah.
So lots of room there. for more acquisitions if you wanted to. Is that on the radar? Is there certain things that you're looking for? Would it be another data center? Would it be something new?
Yeah. So from an acquisition perspective, we actually did state it in the in our MD&A and in the raise documents. When we did, I think we raised 175 million US in September. We explicitly said that we were raising with the intention to do a lot of things, but one of them was to go shopping, because we do think that this year could potentially continue to be a little hairy, and that we do think we're going to see a lot of consolidation, especially if Bitcoin again cannot catch a bid to the upside that we were seeing last spring. So yeah, absolutely, we're well positioned to go shopping.
Gotcha. Speaking of Bitcoin prices now, we're on a bit of a dip. We've had a nice little rally over the last 2 weeks here. What do you see as the largest factors that are moving the Bitcoin price?
I mean, I think certainly everyone's fears about interest rates rising. A lot of people getting margin called, or a lot of traders getting margin called. A lot of the fact that some of these other trading platforms don't have the same rules that, for example, a Coinbase has. So you see some other trading platforms where you can take out 20x levered plays. So a lot of those traders getting washed out with this volatility. But look, we're Bitcoin bulls and bulls at heart, and we're not planning on selling our Bitcoin anytime soon.
Can you share with us what you're doing with your Bitcoin while you hold it? Are you doing anything to earn on it?
So we do have 2,000 of our 5,800 is earning yield, 1,000 with Galaxy, 1,000 with Genesis at about 2.5%. But yeah, we're certainly looking at how do we put the remaining balance to work. We really care about counterparty risk. So we're extremely conservative as to who we would entrust with our coin. But that's definitely something we're looking at. Like I can share, we chatted with the Sovereign guys because they have some really interesting wrap BTC product. We're certainly looking, we're sniffing around for sure, but other ways that we can thoughtfully put this HODL to work.
Cool. No, I like that. So next question here is, you mentioned that you're kind of holding the Bitcoin that you mined. I've heard different people call it different things, such as virgin Bitcoin, originally mined Bitcoin. Is there a premium value to that Bitcoin compared to other Bitcoin, or is there any benefit of being the original miner of that Bitcoin as opposed to buying it on a market or exchange?
I mean, outside of the fact that you're minting the coin, so you're presumably doing it at tremendously sexy margins, which we are, especially as per our January production update, 16% of the total Bitcoin we mined. So we mined about 308 Bitcoin in January. 16% of that 308 was mined at less than $2,600 Canadian, which is amazing. So, and that's using our GPU get paid out in Bitcoin strategy. But look, no, I haven't seen a premium on Virgin Coin yet. And I think what's really cool is, so I've been in the industry since late 2016, early 2017. And I think what's really cool is seeing the development of companies like Elliptic and Chainalysis, and just the analytical tools that are now available to see sort of provenance of the coin, where has it been in the past 5 years, and more traceability options from a technology perspective. But no, we haven't seen premium being paid for Virgin Coin.
Gotcha. I was curious about that. Kevin O'Leary seems to bring it up a lot in some of his conversations. So
look, we love Kevin. I'm just gonna say it like that. Yeah. He's got a lot of ideas, and we love Kevin. He's great. We hung out with him. We had lunch with him in Miami last week.
Nice. Right on. No, I like him.
Yeah, he's a friend of ours for sure.
Nice. Is he an investor in Hut 8? Do you know?
He has publicly stated that, yes, he is an investor. I don't know his holdings as of late, but he has publicly stated on many times that he's an investor.
Hey, right on. Cool.
But I don't know if he still is. So I don't know if he still is, but he has publicly stated before that he is. So.
Yeah. And he's getting more and more into crypto, which is great. It also feels like more and more people and institutions are getting into crypto. I saw this morning Apple's new update where they're going to let people tap and pay with crypto on their phone. So it feels like this is just getting more generally adopted by everybody. Are there any, what is your concern? Is there anything in the back of your mind where you're like, geez, I really don't want that to happen, or that would be a bad thing for the industry? Is there anything like that you can think of?
Look, I think that the industry needs to be more focused. And I think for the most part, we're definitely getting organized and more focused on spending more time with regulators and politicians, especially south of the border. So for example, there is an energy debate in the Bitcoin mining energy debate in the Senate about 2 weeks ago. There was no one from the Bitcoin mining industry that was represented. Articles from Yahoo Finance, no academic peer-reviewed research was being presented as fact in this hearing. And so I think that if the industry, if regulators and politicians continue to sort of leave miners or major players out of discussions like that, I don't think that's conducive to thoughtful innovation or regulation in the spirit of innovation in the space. So that's my one concern, but I do think that as a whole, us miners, we are really working together to educate our regulators, to educate our politicians. Like we have our in-house counsel, Tanya Woods. She is a blockchain lobbyist and spends a lot of time with regulators on both sides of the aisle here in Canada. We're part of the Bitcoin Mining Council led by Michael Saylor. So that group is certainly focused on a lot of education initiatives with sort of the right people in Parliament and in the US in the Senate. But that's my concern. If we don't focus more on education, the strategically myopic regulation that could come down the pipeline. But I don't think it's going to happen. But that would be a concern for me.
Yeah. Speaking of Michael Saylor there, you brought up the name. So his strategy is to kind of raise money or do whatever he needs to do to get cash and then buy Bitcoin and HODL. Would you guys ever consider using that pretty decent cash that you have on the balance sheet to buy more Bitcoin and HODL?
Yeah. So when Bitcoin dipped about a week and a half ago, when it hit 38, I think I ran into Jamie's office and I was like, we got to buy Bitcoin. This is crazy. We got to buy it. And so we had a debate. We certainly had a debate about it. I was like, let's just do it. Let's, drop 10 mil, just do it now. We have to do this now. So I wanted to do that. Jamie said no. And I'm glad she said no, because I think actually maybe it was at 41K that I was like, we got to buy it. Because at the end of the day, it kind of goes against the whole philosophy of being a miner and minting and minting, but at those tremendous margins, right? So if we had done what I wanted to do in January, we wouldn't have had 16% of our production that was at less than 2,600 Canadian. I mean, well, we still would have, but our average price for that month would have gone way up. And that sort of just defeats the purpose of being a miner, right? If you're just going to go shopping, so.
Yeah. It's
I know that's a controversial opinion and a lot of people wanted us to buy. I also wanted us to buy, but I actually agree with Jamie's decision to have not done it.
Well, it's something that I think about. Like I invested into a fairly expensive miner here and I bought in when it was at 40,000. And I thought, geez, if I had just bought and sold at 40,000 and 60,000, I would have done way better. Yeah. Now, 2 or 3 months later, I've got this really steady revenue stream that is also really nice. So it's a total trade-off. It goes totally both ways.
Totally.
So it's really interesting. So how do you as a company decide, should we go out and acquire data centers or other business models or complementary businesses versus should we open up another facility like Medicine Hat or like what you're doing in Ontario?
Yeah. So I'll give you just some fun facts. When we were evaluating whether or not to buy these data centers versus buy mining equipment at the time, we could spend 30 mil on over 400 commercial customers, a crazy competitive price for these 5 data centers, the diversification strategy, a business that had 4.9 mil in revenue in Q3, or we could spend 30 mil on 450 petahash within a 12-month delivery. And so looking at sort of apples to apples, we really thought that this data center acquisition made a lot of sense, especially given what we're planning to build with it. So, and again, we do think that the market's going to be pretty volatile for the next couple of quarters, and we've got a completely uncorrelated and accretive business to help capture upside regardless of what Bitcoin's doing. So I'm not really answering your question. I'm just giving you a fun fact there. I think we're always reevaluating. We're always evaluating sort of either case. And what does it mean now? So that's an example of how we would look at how we value it.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. It's kind of a case by case, depending on the business that you're looking at.
Yeah.
And obviously, I learned this the tough way, but equipment timelines are not usually very accurate, at least for my smaller orders. And sometimes they take a long time, like you said. So that can be very tough.
I mean, we also feel really justified, though, just really quickly, in our acquisition, because about a week later, Microsoft came out saying they were buying Activision. Ubisoft's been making plays in the blockchain gaming space. And it's really not that much of a divergence from our core business. Like, again, the NFTs, tokenized assets, decentralized systems, those are all now moving into some of these traditional industries where there's such a huge growth potential. But anyways, that's just my little diatribe.
So are you holding any NFTs right now, Sue?
Me personally?
Yeah. Okay,
Sue personally is. I bought a crypto bull society. I have a buddy who's like really big on NFTs who tipped me off for a crypto bull. I bought a minted teddy because Meltem Demirors tweeted about it on Twitter, and I think she's just the tits, the best. She's a very interesting person. And then I also bought a crypto dick butt because I was in my, do you know what a crypto dick butt is?
I've seen the image of what a dick butt is, so I can kind of piece it together.
So I was in Miami last week, and I ended up we were at this big dinner, and it was with a bunch of like crypto OGs, like I'm talking like 2011, 2013 crypto Gs. Yeah. So I was like, what are you buying? And a couple of them were like, we're buying crypto dick butts. And I was like, what the F is this? It's a dick butt. It's a whatever. It is literally what it is. But they effectively were saying it's like the Rosetta Stone of meme culture. And I'm not like, if you look at it as sort of like a piece in time in like meme history on the internet. So yeah, I went and bought one, and I already have had a couple bids on it. So I feel somewhat justified in my dick butt. But
you're officially a NFT investor and portfolio manager. Yeah. I like it.
I can confirm with almost 99% accuracy, Hut 8 will never be doing any of what I just described. But yes, me personally, I am an NFT investor as of late.
So I can't put a thumbnail and title out that says Hut 8's into dick butt investing?
Definitely do not do that.
No, fair enough.
Actually, let me see if I can show you guys. Do you want to see what I bought?
I do. I personally really want to see your dick butt.
Well, let me show you my dick butt. There he is.
No way.
A little cowboy hat. He's got glasses on.
That is okay. I'm opening this up to see what these cost right now. What's the floor price on one of those?
I think I can't.
Wow.
Place.
Oh, it's like half an Ethereum.
And I can't remember what what did I pay? Who cares what I paid? Anyways, that's a hot tip from me to you. The Rosetta Stone of internet meme culture.
Can I include this in the video?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool.
But please also include Hut 8 is not buying crypto dick butts. It's just Sue.
Okay, no problem. We'll put a disclaimer out there.
Okay, good.
I'm sure we're only going to get the hardcore fans this far into the video anyways. So what do you want to leave us with? What did we miss in this interview? What else do you want to tell us about Hut 8? What else do we need to keep our eyes open for in the future?
You know what? Honestly, I think we covered a lot of things. I would just love to hear like your opinion on what you think is going to happen this year. Like, you're now a miner yourself. You're extremely savvy guy. Like, I'd love to know what you think is going to happen over the next couple quarters.
I think, well, it's been pretty clear that from the beginning, over the long term, Bitcoin has only gone in one direction. Now, we've obviously seen some pretty dramatic pullbacks. But like, let's say like we're at 40 or 41,000 right now. We tested 38,000 a week or two ago. If that turns out to be the low and we start to move higher, I think we've got a lot of room to run. I'm everywhere I look, I'm seeing more and more adoption. And I think that's the
Yeah.
underlying key fundamental to whether or not Bitcoin and Ethereum and everything else succeed, and whether or not the prices go up, is how widely adopted and how widely used they actually become. And everything that I've seen in the last 6 to 12 months is pointing in the right direction of more and more adoption and more use cases. So I think overall, as long as that adoption continues to increase, that's what's going to drive the demand. And Bitcoin's got a fixed number of coins that are ever going to be minted. So there's limited supply and hopefully an increasing demand. And if you know anything about economics, that usually drives the price higher. So that's my long-term kind of thesis on the price of Bitcoin. But I don't think there's any denying the 40 to 60% volatility that just comes with this asset class. And I think that's something people need to be aware of. So for me personally, I've got miners set up at my place here, and those are just steady, and all of what they mine goes into one wallet and it just stays there, and I don't plan to do anything with it. And then I've got a little portfolio of cash that I trade in and out of based on the market conditions and what's happening. So that's how I manage it.
Nice. You know, it's interesting, really quickly, just to close up in terms of adoption. So did you see that KPMG added Bitcoin and Ethereum to their treasury management strategy? Like the most conservative accountants in the world have now added it to their treasury management strategy. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was amazing. One thing that I thought was interesting, I saw Tim Cook do an interview, I want to say it was a month or two ago, and he said, Apple investors do not invest in Apple for exposure to cryptocurrency. So Apple is not going to be holding cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or Ethereum on their balance sheet, at least anytime soon. But what they are starting to do is enable it on their platforms. And I think even if we don't see Bitcoin being adopted by major corporations or held on balance sheets, if we see the adoption of it and the use cases continue to rise, and we see agencies like KPMG or any of these big firms start to hold it for an investment, I think that's just only going to drive adoption. And like I said, that drives demand and price. So
totally agree. Yeah.
But it was interesting. I always thought we were going to see a day where Apple held Bitcoin on the balance sheet, or like these big companies would just hold it on the balance sheet. And my mindset on that has changed. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't think it needs to happen anymore either.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally agree. Okay, well, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on the channel, Sue. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the chat, and thank you for answering all of my questions. And best of luck in the future. And I hope to chat with you again soon.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.